Hey, everybody, welcome in. Interesting one today. It's like Thursday has almost become retire on day. So today it's like, and this, I've done 8 or 10 of these so far. And yes, it's very, very hard to estimate where something is going to go over the next 10 years, but I will show you some detailed modeling as to how I think we can have a good idea. You guys love the series, and I get hounded every day to do more. In fact, this was pretty much as much requested as Retire in Bitcoin, which we've done before. We need to do an update on that one too. I'm going to come up with a couple of cocktails as well for you guys while you're here. But this one's about MicroStrategy. For many of you, particularly those in the UK and Australia, it's your only on-ramp in a retirement account to Bitcoin. And therefore, it is of critical importance. But I'm going to share a bunch of information today, a bunch of news, who is stacking MicroStrategy and why. We'll look at some charts, some pair charts, how to amplify gains and more. And then we'll look at about 10 different countries. I added a new country as well, again, by request for you all. So this is not financial advice. I don't have a crystal ball, but I'm a very good planner. I've been planning my entire life. And of course, if you like this type of content, please subscribe to the channel. Nobody does the work we do. Nobody has the data we do. So thank you all for being here. Thank you, Mr. Hammer, and the audience and the mods in the chat too. And of course, this is also heavily requested by the community who I work for pretty much, but all the time, 24/7. But I just want to shout out to Aiden, a community member. His wife is having a very serious surgery today, and we wish you and your family the best outcome possible. So good luck to Aiden and his wife, and see you on the other side, buddy. So let's talk about this. What triggered a lot of this today was an image from Twitter regarding the top 10 owners of MicroStrategy Inc. If you know, this channel began looking at MicroStrategy Arb trade. But look at these names, especially those that are growing very fast. Blackrock Financial Advisors own a big chunk, over 6% of MicroStrategy. Bank of America Securities blew up their bag, and so did Fidelity. And you got Morgan Stanley. And again, these are not positions that they're holding on behalf of clients. They are kind of for their own entity, how they allocate for themselves. There's also huge allocations across top mutual funds as well, disruptive mutual funds, etc. So the question is, what's going on? Well, let's have a better look at the updated data, not the Twitter image, but this is kind of more of a real-time update as to who owns the big bags. You've got Vanguard, 8.5% of MicroStrategy. Fidelity went from 0 to nearly 7% of MicroStrategy. BlackRock Fund Advisors, nearly 6%. We'll talk more about those fellows in a minute too, etc., etc. You got Morgan Stanley in there and others. So the question is, why are the BlackRocks, the Vanguards, the Fidelities, the Bank of Americas, why are they buying this? Well, they can't buy Bitcoin directly. They've got to jump through a lot of regulatory hoops to be able to do that. So they buy the proxy. And if it's good enough for them, I wonder, is it good enough for you guys? So let's talk about BlackRock as well. An interesting little twist to the plot. BlackRock is close to filing for a Bitcoin ETF soon. And they'll partner with Coinbase for custody and the crypto exchange spot market data for pricing. Okay. So first of all, filing is nothing. Scores have filed, but they've all kind of been rejected or delayed to date. But BlackRock is a heavyweight. You know, the head of BlackRock, Larry Fink, gets on the phone and he calls Jerome Powell, tells him what to do in the market. So they have extreme power. If anybody can get an ETF approved, it's BlackRock. But what's interesting as well, what's going on? They're partnering with Coinbase, but the SEC is suing Coinbase? Weird. Anyway. Let's talk about some of the other people actually buying this too. Even Canadian banks, National Bank of Canada boosts their investment through MicroStrategy. So a lot of big banks are looking to kind of hedge their bets and get onto the whole Bitcoin train. So again, we'll see. In addition, when we look at the holdings, the top 25 shareholders of MicroStrategy own 60% of the company. Okay, these are shareholders. That is not a mutual fund or a bunch of mutual funds. They are big, big players that own a big chunk. So why is MicroStrategy so interesting? Well, we'll see. But the big message I want you to all take away from this is as following. From Winston Churchill. Some people say it's not what they say, it's what they do. Remember, he said, I no longer listen to what people say. I just watch what they do. behavior never lies. Okay, from Winston Churchill. And that's very, very profound. Remember as well, the SEC is suing Binance and Coinbase. Coinbase partnered with Blackrock. BlackRock and major US banks are buying Bitcoin as much as they possibly can, as quickly as they can through MicroStrategy. And BlackRock is also filing to set up a spot ETF. Don't let them shake you out. And we have been looking at big whale accumulation as well so far this year. While the retail sells, the big guys are buying. Okay, so be careful. Mr. Mike, appreciate you, sir. So let's jump in. Let's talk a bit more as well. Of course, Mr. Saylor is Mr. Hopium, but he says a 10x from here and then a 10x again. And that's what he said per Bitcoin Magazine just 6 hours ago. So we all know that's theoretically possible. I spent a lot of my time, a lot of my life since 2017 modeling out Bitcoin adoption, prices, and everything else. And so far, you know, if you asked me in 2017 or even 2019 where the Bitcoin price would be today, I would never have been so bullish, because back then it was like $3,000, $6,000, $9,000, $12,000. I had estimated maybe, you know, a little higher. But anyway, crazy situation. So let's talk about volatility as well compared to other assets. This is very important. So for this little chart here, on the far right-hand side, all alone, you have MicroStrategy. And Bitcoin is currently about as volatile as Google, Amazon, and crude oil, believe it or not. And while it's still far from being as stable as gold, probably one of the most stable things, it is no longer an outlier in terms of volatility. The real outlier is MicroStrategy, and MicroStrategy has become, for many, a pure Bitcoin holding company over the past 2 years, 9 months. And we'll talk about that time frame as well in a little while. But MicroStrategy is much more volatile than Bitcoin. And again, that's why we play it too. The volatility is fun. Let's look at some assets as well. I hope these arrows came out formatted correctly. But, you know, some people say high risk, high return. It's not necessarily true. But if you look at this chart from Econometrics, it looks at returns to volatility ratio. Top of the list is Bitcoin. Number 2, Tesla. Coincidentally, Bitcoin and Tesla make up pretty much all of what I have. So I'm glad that this chart supports that thesis. I've been there for a long time too. It's not just today. It's for a long time. Number 3, Ethereum. Number 4, Nvidia. Number 5, MicroStrategy. And then down the line, you got Google and Meta. Everything with the green arrow is what I own. And again, I believe in disruption. I believe in technology. I believe in AI. I believe in blockchain. And that's where I play. I do believe these things will have significant returns over the next decade. That's why we play this game. And so far, it's worked out pretty well. Let's talk about how we play the volatility. So we play this using ArbCloud. Again, I caught onto this very early back in September, October, November 2020, believe it or not. And I was looking at, well, shouldn't MicroStrategy actually be this price, not this price? But, you know, since then, we have built a model around exactly how to play, how to swap between assets, when to sell Bitcoin from MicroStrategy, when to sell MicroStrategy back into Bitcoin, etc., etc. It works like clockwork. And we were close to that point again right this morning, which is stunning. And in addition, let's look at the Bitcoin MicroStrategy pair to see exactly what's going on. Again, everything is a pair. Remember that, everybody. So the key here, the key number is 92. And that is kind of where I believe the price converges between Bitcoin and MicroStrategy. That is, there are 92 shares on average, on the 200-day moving average, of MicroStrategy for every Bitcoin coin. And we are below that right now. So historically, we spend half our time above the 200-day moving average. We are now beneath it. Therefore, there's upside. That's why I do this. And that's why we play with the ArbCloud all the time, because it's fun. And remember, this volatility is not your enemy. It's actually your friend if you can tame it. All right, very, very important. So let's look at Bitcoin performance versus MicroStrategy since acquisition. You can see here, since the very first day that MicroStrategy started buying Bitcoin, which is August 2020, you can see here, Bitcoin is up 130% and MicroStrategy is up 125%. So a little bit less than the actual Bitcoin performance. But remember, that swing happens so fast. Right now, Bitcoin is at 26.6. Okay, we've gone up $600 since I put the slide together, just to show you how fast this moves. Therefore, everything's a moving target. So it's impossible. And that was just an hour ago. We're going to have $600 in an hour. It's madness. But the key about this chart here, everybody, I want you to remember, this goes back about 1,017 days, approximately 2 years, 9 months, in and around there. And a lot of that time, we've been in a downtrend bear market, okay? So remember, everything is cyclical. Yes, MicroStrategy got in, then there was a crazy rampage. Tesla bought, crazy rampage. We had a crazy bull market. And then since then, it's been brutal with black swan after black swan. But we've been emerging out of this since October, November 2022. But again, this point in time, even though the majority of the time has been in a bear market, we're still up 130% for both assets. And not much does that in a short window of time, less than 3 years. Now let's talk about my targets. I did touch on these yesterday. Just a quick reminder, 2024, I see us hitting 81,858 after the halving, close to the halving, somewhere around there. 2028, maybe 424, and 2032, 863. Again, with the trolls on the internet, you'll get people that say you're insane, you're out of your mind, that's too cheap. And the people are saying you're insane, you're out of your mind, that's too expensive. But I believe these are reasonable. In fact, Sayad said that yesterday. Shout out to Sayad in Sarajevo. So let's look at the Bitcoin price predictions in round numbers. This model will be based on the following. First of all, my sandbag. So this is kind of the bear case for Bitcoin in the year 2032 will be $551,985. My expected model, 863. Excessive, which is the bull case, 986, just shy of $1 million. And the average is 800,000. But remember, it's going to be huge Schwankungen and volatility swings in that time frame as we go forward. But at those points in time, we should be very close to many of these. And if you think this is too much hopium, take the 551 because that is heavily sandbagged, okay? So here, I'll give you the tools you need to be able to pick and choose however you want to dial your model. By the way, all the models you're going to see are available in Patreon as well. I'll post them again today with the updates. Bitcoin, now, to know where I came from with these Bitcoin prices, I calculated the CAGR, which is the compound annual growth rate to get there. And to get to a price of 551 from the price today at 25,000, which is already, oh my God, it literally, this is too funny. It's gone up $700 since I put the slide together right now, an hour ago. But the CAGR is 36.72%, which is pretty obscene considering how fast this thing can move and how fast and volatile MicroStrategy is. So the bear case includes a CAGR, compound annual growth rate, on average over the 10-year period of 36%. The expected case, 42%. Bull case, 44%. And the average is 41.43%. And you might think, wow, those CAGRs are crazy. But look what we've done this year so far. Again, just in 6 months, less than 6 months, in fact. NVIDIA up 197%, Tesla up 140%, MicroStrategy up 91%, Shopify 85%, Bitcoin 53%. So Bitcoin has actually been the laggard of all of these other guys. And that's going to change too, because every flower has its day in the sun where the bees go to it. And then they deplete all the pollen, and then they go to something else. That's how it works. So first model. This model here I've had for a long time, updated all the time, takes into account the debt, the floor price, roof price of MicroStrategy, the number of shares, the Bitcoin price, the Bitcoin owned, the stock price, etc., etc. To calculate exactly if, when this model was crunching, it was 25,157. The MicroStrategy quote was 278. And wonder where it is now. Well, it's after markets, so you can't see. But with Bitcoin going up $700, yes, MicroStrategy will probably be up after hours. I can check that towards the end too. But the point of this model is when you take my bear case Bitcoin price by 2032 of 551, that'll put the MicroStrategy price to about $6,004. Expected case will take us to 9,300. Bull case about 10,700. And then the average of all of these is 8,693. But then I also have the floor price as well. So what I did was I took an average of both. So the prices I'll be using for my bear case is 6,400, 10,000 for expected, 11,476 for bull case, and the average of all is about 9,322. So again, when you are doing your own modeling, if you want to sandbag or achieve your first threshold, then work on achieving more thresholds, more bags across different assets to get to your final destination. And remember as well, this is very important, pure form always, never more than 10% in proxies is what I like to do. I might be a little bit over that right now because I'm in very leveraged positions on MicroStrategy and full disclosure, tons of synthetic longs. But my plan is to show you options and help you plan your retirement from the rat race, because the most important thing is to plan. If you don't have a plan, you're nowhere. Okay, so here we are about planning. And the reason I do this is critical. First of all, this is why I do it. You have to set goals. These are the key ingredients to set up a plan, having a framework. Number one, you set goals. The first step is always to set goals. When you want to retire, how much you want to have, etc. Do you want to travel? Do you want to volunteer? Do you want to spend more time with family and friends? Once you know what you want to do, then you start making a plan to achieve your goals. Hey, Bill. Good to see you. Second, you estimate your expenses. Like how much money will you need to live comfortably in retirement, your lifestyle, your location, your healthcare, what type of cars you want to get or boats or whatever. Factor all that in. And once you know how much you need, then you can start to plan. Okay, this is a 10-year plan. And the more time you have, the more compound annual growth rate you have, and the bigger your bags will become. That is a certainty, as long as you pick the right assets. So choose the right assets, choose the right investments. There are many different options available. But here, this is why we do so many different types of paths to retirement. In a perfect world, you want to have a Bitcoin plan for retirement, a MicroStrategy plan for retirement, a Tesla plan for retirement, maybe an Ethereum plan for retirement, etc., because not all of these are going to blow up. One might, but if you have your diversified plans with your bag sizes, that's where we're going to go. And next, I'll be doing a cocktail of all of these. So drop suggestions below of what you want to see in that cocktail. Maybe a little, I don't know, Microsoft or Google or Tesla or Ethereum or some token other than Bitcoin. Let me know. So, warning, let's jump in. This may give you some discomfort. It may give you a lot of discomfort too. When I did the Retire on Tesla, people were so excited because they were saying like, oh yes, I've got 850 shares already and I plan on stacking more over the next 10 years. So they were well set and delighted by that. So let's talk about what I call the asymmetric bet of our lives. I believe we've got two. One is Bitcoin, one is Tesla. This is a Bitcoin proxy. So as you saw before, it follows Bitcoin price. And remember, this will be top 12 retirement destinations in the year 2032. Yes, that's me in the chair. Actually, I think that is right after I just started doing YouTube videos, but I was kind of half relaxed. So I was retired, or maybe before I even started. I don't know. But that's anyway, doesn't matter where that is. So listen, we also have this other cool model as well. A shout out to JDog for working on this in the community and Patreon. We have this where to live model that takes into account everything you want. We are trying to find a way to make this available where you can pull your levers and say, I'm very focused on being close to an airport, having very good medical. I want to be beside a beach. I want to be in a Bitcoin friendly country, etc. So you can actually dial in and you can set your cost of living. So you can dial in the optimal place on planet Earth where to live. Again, it takes time to do this, but we are working on it and it'll be fun to integrate into these models too. So let's start how the model works. A quick review. So we're going to walk through this very fast across all the countries. So first of all, you've got the models. You've got the low, expected, and bull case and the average of all. And then you see the number of shares required. It'll be MSTR required. So for example, if you take the bear case, you might need 138 shares to retire with $6,500 a month of spending for about 24 years in the destination of your choice. That's kind of the old goal. On the right, you'll see the cost to buy the bag today. You could have bought MicroStrategy for like less than $150 only 6 months ago. It's kind of crazy how things move. In addition, you'll see as well, I have the appreciation of the assets. So I assume after 2032, Bitcoin will appreciate by 15% per year, not 40 or 30% CAGR, but 15. And inflation, which eats away at your bag and your cost of living, I assume is 6.5%, which is high, but I do believe it's fair considering how much governments will print. Bitcoin just blew above 25.7. Wow. They must be watching. Anyway, and then you got your retirement date start. That's the pointed time. And when you have the model, you can play with this yourself. If you want to start retiring in 2028 or 2037 or whatever, you can play with it. And then, etc. It's all in there. So that is how it goes. Let's jump in, walk through the destinations. And again, I pull government information from all the governments around the world that have it. UK, Germany, Thailand, Philippines, USA, Canada, and I get data. So you can pause this and read yourself. This is from the Economic Policy Institute. The cost to retire for a couple in the year 2032 is $2,900 a month. I always take the numbers and I beef them up because that's not enough to have a good standard of living. And I always believe it's good to have stretch goals. And I also don't trust the government, because $2,900 with the way in which they're printing money won't get you very far in the future. So USA, MicroStrategy, here we are. So the price today is $280, $278 when I did this. The low, which is the kind of the bear case, you will need 117 shares to be able to spend $5,488 a month starting in 2032. The cost to buy that bag today is about $32,000. Again, this is a disruption we're investing in. Yes, it might seem, how can you invest $32,000 today and 10 years from now be able to spend $5,500 a month for 24 years? Doesn't make sense, but it does, because you saw how fast these assets move and how much this will go up and how much it's gone up over time. That is the logic behind this. So, but if you're conservative, take that 117 shares and double it, triple it, get 800 shares. But this is just all about you planning, okay? So the bull case, if we do go to $11,448 a share, you only need 66, which is kind of crazy. In addition, there's ways of amplifying your bag size by playing the arb between Bitcoin and MicroStrategy. Some people are adding like 20, 30% to their bag every quarter using those tools. So Germany next in the box, again, from the Federal Ministry of Labor and Social Affairs, 1,500 euros a month. I say that's way too little. I spent a lot of time there. So if you look here, I estimate you need about $4,939. Everything is in dollars. The low case is 105 shares. The average of all is 73 shares. And the cost to buy that bag now is only $20,000. Not bad. Let's look at India. A lot of people are requesting India. Again, this is data from the National Institution of Pension Fund Employees. For a 60-year-old couple retiring in 2032, need about 1 crore of rupees. And here I changed it. I increased it again to $1,951. Again, same detail. You could retire on the bear case in 42 shares, or the average of all 29 shares. Or if we get to the bull market and hit that Bitcoin price, it could only be 23 shares. Remember, there's always inherent risk of being in MicroStrategy. We don't know if they're going to be around in 10 years. Hopefully they will. By the way, we'll hear from him tomorrow. Michael Saylor is on Rand's channel. UK, this is from the PLSA, and they believe you need £2,390 a month to retain pre-retirement standard of living. So I calculated for the UK, $4,538. That is on the bear case on shares, 97. The bull case, 54. Average is 67 shares. And the cost of that average of 67 shares today is $18,561. And that in pounds is just under £15,000. Now let's talk about Canada. A lot of Canadians in the audience. This is from the, I can't remember the institute, Canada Pension Plan, CCP, and the Old Age Security are the guys that came up with those numbers. You need about 65,300 Canadian dollars a year. And per me, that is about $4,644 a month to spend in the year 2032. Based on the bear case for MicroStrategy, it's 99 shares. I love that number. Bull case, 55 shares. The cost to buy the bag today on the bear case is $27,500. Not bad. Let's go. Ireland. This is based on the Irish League of Credit Unions. You need about €2,500 a month to maintain that standard of living. I think they have free healthcare there, as with many other places in Europe, which can be a big deal. You need about $4,300 a month to retire. 92 shares in the bear case. 63 the average of all, 51 for the bear case, and the cost to buy that bag today is not a lot at all. Bull case, only $14,000. So that's kind of exciting, gives people a lot of hope. Thailand, very requested. A lot of people are living in the West and they want to retire there, but you need about $1,500 a month. There's some people that can live for a lot less. Every time I say this, I live in Thailand. It's only cost me like $650 a month or whatever, or other place. But again, I sandbag everything, add a lot of extra. So to retire in Thailand, you only need to spend $2,184 a month starting in 2032. You need 46 shares on the bear case, which is 13,000 today to buy that. 26 shares in the bull case, only 7,200. So there's a lot of people out there as well trying to get to X number of shares of different types of products and X fraction of Bitcoin as well to go forward. Again, multiple bags of multiple assets are best. Portugal, 3,952 a month. Again, average of all 58 shares. Not bad. I'll pick up the pace here. Australia, average of all 77 shares. The cost to buy that bag today is $21,400, which is not bad at all. Mexico, $2,848 a month. Again, people say that's very, very high. But again, parts of Mexico are very expensive. So you need to be in a kind of good part, safe part near the beach. They are not that cheap. The average of all here is 42 shares. And that will cost you $11,649 today. Again, Vietnam, next one, $1,459 to live per month. That will cost you 21 shares, average of all. Bear case, 31 shares. The cost of the bear case bag is $8,640. And Philippines, $1,201. We had a lot of requests for the Philippines. What that costs. In fact, we've got Patreon members that already live there. Here, the low case bear case is about 26 shares. Cost to buy that $7,000 today. And the bull case is 14 shares, $3,990. Again, it depends where you live. If you're in downtown Manila, it'll probably cost you $5,000 a month. But if you're somewhere like Cebu or other places, it can be a lot more inexpensive. So Costa Rica, final one on the box, I think. Yes, $2,801 a month. Bear case, you need 60 shares. Bull case, 33 shares. And that 33 shares will cost you just under $10,000 today. And you have a ticket 10 years from now to be comfortable for 24 years. Again, assuming things go the way we plan. And of course, a lot of stuff here. We have everything, all the slides, all the data on Substack. If anyone's interested, it's $45 a year, about 13 cents a newsletter. Each one is stacked with between 30 and 50 illustrations and tons of data. So that's it. Let's talk about the conclusion now for a second, just to hammer some points home, make sure everybody is understanding. 1, remember, pure form always for the majority of your bag. MicroStrategy is a proxy, and that is elevated risk over owning Bitcoin in your actual hard wallet. And it's interesting, looking at the survey here of the audience, 37% plan to retire in 10 years. Good plan. 5 years, 35%. 20 years, 18%. And 7% want to retire in 30 plus years. I like that. That's nearly 800 people voted live on that one. So that's great to hear. The majority want to retire early as we go forward. So remember, never more than 10% in a proxy. And watch it very, very carefully. But if you have to play the proxy, if you have a chance in a retirement account where you can swap it tax-free between other assets, you can amplify your bags really well. Conclusion part 2 as well. There's always a 1% chance that Bitcoin can go to zero. Factor that in, always balance risk reward accordingly, and build multiple paths to retirement like we discussed as well. Have your retire on bags for Tesla and Ethereum and Bitcoin and who knows what else over the future. So big thank you everybody for joining. Hope Aiden and his wife are doing well. I hope you enjoyed the show. I'm hot again after doing that while we were here. Wow, Bitcoin is just on a rampage. It's 21,764. Again, an hour ago it was 25,764. An hour ago it was 25K. So big thank you to everybody who's here. Appreciate you all. Hit the likes on the way out. Let's get the message out there and help people plan for their retirement. Because again, 80% of the game is the plan. Thank you all for being here. See you all tomorrow. Bye.